Hello and welcome to D&D Daily. Today I'm going to be doing another deep build into the Battlemaster Fighter. Deep Builds is the series where we're going into each of the subclasses in the 2024 Player's Handbook and doing a deep build for each of them. A build in which I would play myself, including story beats and all the mechanics you need. You're only going to need the 2024 Player's Handbook to play any of these, and I'm going to be going rules as written and standard array to keep my rules as strict as possible so you guys have more flexibility to create off these builds. So the Battlemaster is MERC, the ex-mercenary. MERC's story really begins when he was a soldier. He was bright-eyed and willing to go serve his country, and he joined the military at a particularly, we'll say, strenuous time frame. He was in a lot of nasty battles, and he learned quickly how you survive, and it's not always pretty how you survive. So he got some scars and decided to walk away from the military, but he ended up only having a particular skill set, which was military-oriented, so he ended up becoming a mercenary. And a very well-known one at that. He was able to get jobs done very effectively using the same things that kept him alive in the military. He got very good at getting the job done in fast and efficient ways, but often brutal. Now he's gotten to his retiree years and he's older and wanting to do something different with his life, wanting to do something maybe a bit good. When I think about MERC, I think that he has a lot of scars from his time, both as a soldier and a mercenary, and he's not proud of everything he's done that ultimately made him survive, and that really builds the format for where MERC is at now. I've gotten an interesting opportunity where I've been given 3 months free of a school account. And what school is it's basically a community building platform, and I figure, why not build a D&D community? So this is the spot if you want to find people to play with, if you want to check out the builds I've done, if you want help building builds, this is where I'm gonna be talking to people. So if you want to discuss with me, that's where I'm gonna be. If you want to play with me, that's where I'm gonna be. So go check it out. If it doesn't go anywhere in the next 3 months, I'll just cut it off. But if we can build something cool in that time, I'm gonna keep it around, and I think it could be a lot of fun. So I hope you show it some love. So I kind of want to talk about the concept before getting into the level by level build. When I built this character, I had this concept in my head of just like a really dirty fighter, someone who doesn't fight fair at all. And that was the birth of this character, but I also wanted him to have some regrets and to feel bad about all the crap he's pulled off. I think very core to this character is there is no such thing as honorable combat. There's winners and losers, and he is good at being the winner despite him not loving what it means to be the winner. Let's start off with the lineage. I went with Infernal Tiefling, and I feel like Tieflings really got the short end of the stick with the lineages in the 2024 Player's Handbook, but for this build, I love the Infernal Tiefling for a lot of different reasons. First off, we have Dark Vision. We like to do a bunch of sneaky crap. Dark Vision is always helpful for that. But with this character's playstyle, I really wanted to focus in on 2 aspects of it. The first and more important is this guy fights dirty, trickery, ambushes, sneaky stuff. And I really like Hellish Rebuke for that. You get hit, boom, they get lit on fire. It kind of has that underhanded playstyle baked into it. Along with that, we get Thaumaturgy, which is going to help us intimidate people, but I also like the idea that he's been on a lot of battlefields. He uses Thaumaturgy to have his voice carry over the battlefields. That's pretty cool. We're also going to get Darkness, but we'll talk about that more later. But the most important feature from Tieflings is that we get Firebolt. Usually, we might use this as our ranged option, but no, not with this build. All we care about is its ability to light objects on fire. We're going to use that very, very creatively. Now remember, we're a mercenary. We manipulate the battles to our favor, and fire is going to be a big part of that. So think lighting oil on fire to burn people alive, or think lighting a house on fire to flush people out, or think about laying down hay to light that on fire to create firewalls, or think about dispersing flour and then lighting that on fire to create explosions. This is how I want to use Firebolt with this build. With our background, as the story suggests, we're a soldier. This gives us Savage Attacker, which plays into the second part. I mentioned the dirty fighting. Well, the second element is this guy is an expert fighter. He has fought his whole life, and I really wanted to show that mechanically. He fights dirty, but really, He is a fantastic duelist, a fantastic fighter. Next up we have our stats. The primary one is going to be dexterity, which we're putting +2 in, and our 15, getting to 17. And then constitution, which we're taking 13 +1 to get to 14. All the other stats, do what you want, but I'll tell you what I did. First off, I thought he was a really smart guy. He's a tactician, ultimately. So just for flavor, I put 14 in intelligence. Then I put 12 in wisdom. This one, I think, arguably, you could put into strength if you're going pure story, but it's definitely better to go into wisdom. So I kind of took a middle ground and put wisdom at 12, strength at 10, and charisma he's particularly bad at because he's jaded, he doesn't see the world in the most pleasant way, he doesn't care about small talk, so I put charisma as his dump stat. Getting into level 1, the first thing I want to talk about is his weapon masteries. So rapier is his primary weapon. We're going to take the dueling fighting style to represent this. He is an expert duelist. But he's going to use his longbow a lot. I think he's going to start a lot of combats out with a longbow because he wants to make them come to him. He wants to soften them up before they get there. Bonus points if there's a bunch of traps between them and us. If we've ambushed them, maybe we've set up traps. So this is the type of character that I'm going to want to pick up ball bearings and cantrips with and set up the battlefield beforehand, or other things like a shovel to dig pit traps, that type of idea. So we begin by shooting them. They have to come to us. When they're on their way to us, he whips out his rapier and they think that, great, this stupid archer guy finally closed the distance. Well, that's where he's at his nastiest, is when the distance is closed. From there, he's going to stab them up, and if they do manage to hit him, hellish rebuke them. For our third weapon mastery, I took the hand crossbow, because I really like the idea that he has his rapier in one hand and a free hand on the other. We're not going to be taking a shield, he's actually going to be using a free hand, which is always fun. And the idea is that sometimes he might not be enraged to poke someone, but he doesn't want to whip out his longbow, so once per combat, without reloading it, we just take out the hand crossbow, shoot someone, which can set up Vex for our rapier the next turn. And I just think it's cool visually to whip out a crossbow real quick, shoot someone, and put it back. I'm taking survival and insight as our skills. I feel like they just match this character, and then we get second wind. Moving on to level 2, we're gonna get action surge. It's fantastic. Right now, we're probably using it just for a bit of extra damage. We can also use it for utility if the need calls for it. Level 3, of course, we're going to be going Battlemaster. Now, the first thing I wanted to capture with my Battlemaster maneuvers is fighting dirty. So in that vein, I took Trip Attack, where we fake going upwards, slash them downwards, and make it so they fall on the ground. That's pretty dirty. Disarming Attack is more, shows his skill, but I love Disarming Attack when you have a free hand, because you can disarm their weapon, pick it up yourself, and now they can't pick it up. Puts people in really nasty situations sometimes. I then took Evasive Footwork. This kind of does lean into the more skill-based, that we have excellent footwork and can use it to our advantage, so I grabbed that here. We also get Student of War. I went with Perception as our skill. That also matches him, and then I took Alchemist Supplies. We are going to get Poisoner Supplies. That's a piece of this character. And so Alchemist Supplies kind of just lent into that ability that he has experience making potions and poisons, potentially. Level 4 and onward, weapon masteries, do whatever you want with it. Maybe grab Javelin for anti-air or whatever, but for me, I just don't care. So do whatever you want with weapon masteries at this point. Onward, I grabbed guns. Whatever you grab, it's really not going to be core to the playstyle. More importantly, I took the Poisoner feat. I took it so early because I wanted to get to that. He is a dirty fighter as quick as possible. We have free bonus actions quite often, so throwing on some poison on your rapier or your arrows before launching them out there is pretty cool. Level 5, we get extra attack and tactical shift. Tactical shift is going to act as a pseudo disengage plus extra movement without having to use your action surge. Level 6, we get another ASI. I took Defensive Duelist, again kind of leaning into the fact that he is a fantastic duelist. Now as a reaction, we can add to our AC, making us harder to hit. And that's got a buff since the old handbook. Now it lasts for our whole turn. So our AC is way better than it was before this feat. Level 7, we get Know Your Enemies. This allows us to size them up. We see their vulnerabilities, what they're resistant or immune to, and that's just a quick way for us to gather a bunch of info about our enemies. We also get more superiority dice, going from 4 to 5 at this level, which is fantastic. And we get some new maneuvers. I went with Ambush, really plays into this character, and then Pushing Attack as well, which can kind of play into the dirty fighter, that we can push them into traps and stuff behind them. Skulker is pretty cool here. First off, it's going to combo with our Darkness that we get from Tiefling. And this works whether we're in archery or if someone has pressured us up close. We can sit there and shoot them with arrows. Finally, they get up to us, they hit us, they get hellish rebuked, and then we just cast darkness. So now they're stuck with us. We see them, they don't see us. And this can be kind of a nice little spot for us to hang out where we can step out of it to do some archery shots and step back into it to make it hard to hit us. We can just play around it without it really being on top of our allies. And again, it plays into that, just kind of have a lot of trickery play style. It also allows us to take the hide action at advantage, which is good if we're trying to escape. And I do feel like this character would be good at escaping bad situations. And it also allows us to take ambushes where we can fire arrows, and if we miss, it doesn't reveal our location, so we're better ambushers as well. At level 9, we get Tactical Master. This is particularly good with our longbow because it allows our longbow to slow and push people, which makes keep away quite good. And then in the duelist side of things, we can chain a bunch of Vex attacks, and then our very last attack, we can put a sap on them. So come their turn now, they're more likely to miss us. Yeah, so it just kind of makes you feel like an expert duelist both on offense and defense. You also get Indomitable, which is just an incredible feature. It's basically a legendary resistance. Level 10, our superiority dice go to a D10, not bad. But more importantly, we get some more maneuvers to feel like a dirty fighter. We get menacing attack, basically we intimidate them via the aggression we display, and distracting strike, which again kind of gives that vibe of we fight underhanded, throw dirt in their eyes or whatever. Level 11, we get another extra attack, fantastic. Level 12, we can't take ASIs here, but I was actually much more interested in just feats. And a feat that really stands out to me here is actually the archery fighting style. We are an expert duelist, but we are doing quite a bit of archery stuff. I want that +2 to hit, I'm grabbing it here. Level 13, we get studied attacks. If we miss, the next attack has advantage. This is particularly good with Vex, because we miss, well, now we have advantage to get advantage to get advantage. So it just kind of all chains together nicely. We're also gonna get a second Indomitable at this level. And like I said before, it's fantastic. It's even better when you got twice as many. Level 14, again, we could take an ASI, but I don't really care to. I'm gonna pick up the defense fighting style here. So now we have 3 fighting styles. That's not something common I would want to do with most characters, but I like that I have a character that it feels natural to do that. And between your defense fighting style, having 20 in dexterity, and having the defensive duelist fee, our AC is actually pretty phenomenal for someone who's not even always in the front line. We can just be in the back line, and if they approach us, we can switch over to the front line type stuff, or we can push front line whenever we want. I just love the flexibility of this character. Level 15, we get potentially our best feature, which is called Relentless. It allows us to use one maneuver every turn for a D8 for free without using our superiority dice. So now we are using maneuvers every single turn, which is incredible. We're also gonna get 2 new maneuvers. Sweeping attack, I'll grab here, and bait and switch for some more trickery. We also get 6 superiority dice at this level, maxing out. Level 16, I went with skill expert because I wanted to bump my con, and I just thought, why not get expertise and perception while we're at it? The reason I care about bumping a stat now when I haven't in the past is because when we get our epic boon, it always comes with a stat increase, so we might as well round it out. Level 17, we get our second action surge and our 3rd Indomitable. Fantastic level. At level 18, our superiority dice becomes a D12. So with 6 of those, we have 6 D12 to throw around. At level 19, I went with the boon of combat prowess. When we miss once per turn, we can just say we hit instead. I really like that, especially with Vex, because it just begins that chain of hitting, just getting advantage on every single attack, guaranteed. And then at level 20, we of course get our 3 extra attacks, finishing off this build with more offense. I'm really excited to play this build for its creativity. I really like the idea of setting up lines of hay, and so when there's a caravan crossing those lines of hay, I can light it on fire with the firebolt, which splits them in half, and then I can rain arrows down on them, and as they're trying to get close to me, they're stepping on caltrops. And then finally, once they get up close to me, they smack me and they get lit on fire, and then they get covered in darkness. And then when they retreat, I can go after them, shooting them with my hand crossbow, closing the distance with my rapier, and start stabbing them. And then I can trip them or disarm them and pick up their own weapon. And it's just crazy the amount of things you can do with this build, and the feeling of being able to poison your weapon and slash them in the Achilles tendon and blind them in the eyes with dust, and just like, you don't fight normal. You aren't an honorable fighter. You're the exact opposite of a paladin. You just fight super dirty, but you're really, really good at it. Mix that with this flavor that you feel bad because in your soldier years and in your mercenary years, you did some screwed up stuff. You did some dark stuff and it haunts you, you know, you don't love that. And so you're kind of trying to make up for it, but you still want to win the fights and you're really good at winning fights. So that's still in there. And it's kind of this tug of war between practical reality and trying to do better than what practical reality has forced you to do in the past. Sounds freaking fun to me. I don't know. Hope you guys liked it as much as I do. If so, leave me a like down below. Don't forget to vote on what you want the next deep build to be. And again, if you guys want a community around D&D, you want to potentially even play some games with me, look at cool builds, join our school community. I have it for free for 3 months, and so this is our time to build it up. If we build it up into something that's cool, I'll keep it. If not, after the 3 months, I'll just cancel it. So if you do want a D&D community, please support it. All right, with that, my friends, I hope you have yourselves an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.